So I know one of the biggest frustrations women today have is men putting in little to no effort. All right. Maybe even to the point where women feel like men today want to be chased and pursued, and just is throwing off the dynamic that women are comfortable with or women feel that it should be. And the point is, it just creates a lot of problems. Now, I know we can automatically think, well, if he's not putting in the effort, he's not serious, that's the end of it, point blank, period. Not exactly. I know that might sound surprising, and I'm not here to defend minimal effort men. Some of the situations, and we'll break it down, a little bit later, is just a guy who's not serious. But there's a lot more to it than that. And I'm not going to explain this to you for the sake of you just willingly accepting it, but to better understand it, because some situations are fixable and some situations are a symptom of you need to let him go ASAP and do not entertain him any further. So one of the big, and to some it might be a surprise or not, but one of the big reasons why men give minimal effort is because they're getting horrible advice. All right. I was going to use the word bad, but horrible is what came out. So here's the unfortunate reality, especially in today's world where the internet is saturated with tons of advice to people about dating and relationships. A lot of men are being told, basically, don't do too much for that woman. Don't put in too much effort. You're going to come across looking thirsty. She won't respect you. She won't value you. All these different things. So a lot of men are coming in, whether you want to call it guarded, whether you want to call it just thinking that this is the more effective approach to take. And it's creating a lot of, again, as I mentioned, frustration. Now, understand this. Though I do not agree with that approach, I'm not going to lie to y'all. A lot of men have seen that when they've tried hard, they've gotten burned. And when they've tried less, they've gotten results. All right. You might say, that's not me. I don't do that. I wouldn't entertain a man, giving minimal effort. But I'm telling you, if you surveyed a lot of men, if you have male friends, uncles, brothers, whatever, and you ask them what they've seen, they will confirm a lot of men have seen that play out that way. And this is why they think this is the appropriate approach to take. Now, I know it's deeper than that. All right. I also know that just because you elicit initial response from that woman, that's not a setup for a good relationship. All right. So for the man who's actually interested and actually trying to be intentional with dating, this is not a recipe for success. But I want you to understand as a woman that, yes, these men have seen that happen. And so we could argue, and just to you, as a woman, you may already have ideas of why that would be the case. But I'll throw one thing out there, is the fact that, let's face it, sometimes what happens is when it's a man who is so willing to make all this effort to impress this woman and get this woman, it's a situation where he wants her more than she actually wants him. All right. Which is why he would even be so motivated to try so hard. Because to him, it's like, oh my God, this is an amazing opportunity. I gotta go hard. And to her, it's like, I don't really want this, but I'll entertain it for right now. And so it creates a dynamic where it's like, oh, okay, she's not really that interested. So now he starts to feel like nothing's working. And then he ends up witnessing or finding out the man who was doing less ends up actually getting her. But again, it wasn't because he necessarily did less. It's because that woman was just more interested from the jump. Okay. And so we're confusing what's the real root of the problem. But this is what leads to then men being advised to do less. Also, when they do less, the belief is that it conveys a greater value of self. It's almost like, well, I'm not going to try too hard because I'm the prize. And I'm trying to convey to you that I'm the prize and you need to be showing that you want me. And some women, whether they realize it or not, actually fall into that. They start thinking, well, wait a minute, he's not hitting me up. He's not showing me the attention. And she now feels like, okay, I want his attention. It's almost like she starts to pursue or try harder because she wants to be validated. What it reminds me of, I know many of y'all have watched, I'm always bringing up shows for examples, but remember the show Family Matters with Urkel, Steve Urkel and Laura, right? And when Steve is trying super hard, doing everything he can, Laura's just ignoring him, rejecting him, paying him no attention. But when Steve takes his attention away from her and now is making less effort and in the episode, he finds a new girlfriend, stuff like that, all of a sudden, now Laura's trying to get his attention back. We're not even talking about when he turned into Stefan, all right? Which don't reference me and my name to that, please. But the point is, all right, before he even got there, there was points where you saw that. And we've seen that in other shows, in other movies. It's like now when the man's trying less, she's thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe I do like him. But what she really, it's not that she likes him, she just likes the attention, all right? All that to say, there's a lot more we can talk about with this point, but I'm gonna try to wrap this up so we can keep things going. Bottom line is, this is what creates the perception from a lot of men that doing less will get you more. And this is why many men today take that approach. So here's how I would encourage you. You don't have to do this, but I would encourage you as a woman to be able to see if that's at what's going on, or is this just a man who's just not serious? And that's simply addressing the issue. Now, you're gonna hear this repeated multiple times during the video. Again, I always say red flags aren't you see it, you run. You address it, you see if he's willing to correct it, and if not, then you let him go. And so by bringing up to him, hey, listen, I feel like you're not making the effort that I need for us to build something here. I don't know if you're interested, you know what I'm saying? And making sure that you're conveying to him, if I am interested. So if you're not, let me know what's up. Now, I know that's not an easy conversation to have. That's why I say you ain't got to do it. I'm just giving you one of the suggestions that you can try. Because now if it's a guy who actually likes you but thinks this approach will get you and you come at him like that, he will be willing to shake it off and now actually show up and be more present in this dating process with you or in this relationship. However, if it's the guy who's not serious, or the guy who's just so invested in this idea that I have to act like I don't care, which can be the case, then that's on him. He's just not ready for something serious. He has to move past that kind of thinking. But either way, talking about it will help expose or increase the chances of you seeing, can this be just easily corrected, or this is a guy that I shouldn't be bothering with. All right, so now let's keep things going. The second reason why men give minimal effort is because you're making things too easy for him. So listen, the saying goes, a person can only do what you allow them to do to you. All right. And it's not to shift the blame completely on you, but it is to say you have to be honest with yourself about, are you setting standards in this dating process? Are you being transparent about what you need from this man? Because if you aren't, and then not only are you not expressing that, but then when he doesn't meet those needs, you are tolerating him falling short. You are tolerating him giving you nothing but excuses. You are tolerating him not putting forth the effort. Well, then why would he change it? Why would he step up if he doesn't have to? Again, it's like if a job hires you and is letting you come to work for only 30 hours but paying you for a 40-hour week, are you just going to start coming for 40 hours? You're probably not, all right? Chances are, once you see that you can get away with 32 hours and still get paid for 40, you're going to do it. Even if that wasn't your initial intention, once you see that's the option, you're probably going to take it. Many will. All right. Not saying it's fair, not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what happens. Okay. So you do have to be honest with yourself about, are you making it too easy? Now, when I use the word too easy, I don't want you to take that the wrong way. I don't want you to view that as, oh, play hard to get, make things difficult. All right. Adding unnecessary obstacles and nonsense to the situation. I'm just saying you've got to hold him accountable and to a standard, and you do have to set that standard of what it is. I do think it would be beneficial for you and for the potential of that relationship to be clear as possible on things that you need. So when it comes to communication, don't start with he's a grown man. If he's trying to date me, he should know he should be talking to me multiple times a day. Not everybody knows that. Not everybody has been exposed to that. If a guy dated 3 women before you and they did not require that level of communication, he's not going to automatically know or think that's what you need. Okay? Unless you say it to him and he's like, well, I like this girl, so I'm going to hit her up multiple times. I'm cool with that because I'm serious about trying to make things work. But remember, going back to the first point, he may be thinking, I don't want to come off thirsty. I don't want to come off needy, therefore become unattractive to her. So let me not call too much, because he's thinking that level of communication may work against him. But if you were clear with him that that's what you're looking for and need, then he'd be like, okay, well, now I can safely implement that without worrying about it backfiring on me or, working against me. So men have their fears and concerns too, which is why the clearer we can be with each other, the better. Another example I want to give is texting. I've seen so many situations where women have cut off men because they just keep texting, right? And she's like, or they are like, a grown man should know better than to just text all the time. He needs to get on the phone. And I'm like, listen, especially in the world we live in today, texting has become so commonplace. And believe it or not, there are women out there who prefer texting over getting on the phone. So again, if that man has been exposed to women who actually prefer texting, how would he know that it's going to be a problem with you? Unless you express it. Now, once you've expressed it, if you tell that man, listen, we got to talk on the phone. We need more quality time. I don't like just all this texting. And then he proceeds to continuously, consistently text and not make time for phone calls. Then we can say, all right, he's not serious enough. He's not on the same page as you. Let him go. But some men, all they need is a heads up. And from there, they correct it and you're good to go. All right. So always be willing to talk about it and do not assume they know better. All right. So now the third reason why men give minimal effort is because he's already burnt out. So here's what I mean. And there's 2 ways to look at this. Now, again, I'm not saying that should be an acceptable reason. I'm not saying that's okay for that man to do that. I'm just explaining to you what happens. You have some men who, because unfortunately a lot of people do not heal before they move on to their next dating situation or next relationship, whatever drainage that occurred or damage that occurred as well from their previous situations, they carry on to their new one. And so some people are coming into the new dating environment already burnt out from the previous one or previous ones. Now, of course, clearly, if they're burnt out, they should take time before they jump into the new one. They should make sure they can put their best foot forward. But unfortunately, that's not what happens all the time. All right. And so people walk in, and again, when you combine burnt out with making it too easy for him, right, and not being clear about what you need, right, then it makes it easier for him to rest in that burnt out stage. When I say rest, to remain there rather than figure out how to get myself out of it. All right. He's on cruise control now. So that is one aspect of it. But here's the aspect I really want to highlight. And this is when the man starts off giving you full effort. All right. I've heard tons of stories of women saying he was doing everything right for the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. He was putting forth effort. He was calling, all this stuff. And then done. Stopped. And the inclination is to think he was just playing you. It's to think that he just reeled you in with all this effort only to leave you high and dry. Sometimes it may feel like, well, he just did it to get some sex and now he's gone, right? And I'm not saying that never happens, but what happens more often than women realize is that he reaches a burnt out stage. Because if he's putting forth all this effort and you are not reciprocating, he is not going to be able to keep that up forever. All right? So a lot of men are trying. They're genuine. They have real intent. But you as a woman may be holding back. A lot of women take an approach of, I have to wait and see if he proves to me that I can now put forth effort. If he proves to me that he's serious enough for me to start opening up to him, right? And though I understand the approach, it's unhealthy and it's not the right way to do things because, again, only if you're lucky enough to finally kick in with your effort before he finally feels like this ain't getting me nowhere, then yeah, you might escape the downfall that happens with this. But a lot of guys just feel like, dang, I'm calling, I'm trying, and I'm not seeing that energy from her. And as I mentioned earlier, tons of men are just as concerned as you are. Tons of men have been played as well. All right. Yes, they should have healed. But if you're going to say they should have healed, well, then you should have healed too. Because if you are holding back in that initial stage, it's because of what you've been through and you didn't heal from it. So now you're projecting that onto your new situation. So don't call them out for a lack of healing if you're not going to hold yourself accountable for your own lack of healing. You know, I say it with love. You know, I love you, okay? You know, I'm not trying to beat you up right now. I care about you and your success, okay? But I got to keep it real with you. Don't do that. Don't point the finger everywhere else, but you're doing the same exact thing. But the point is, yes, because they are just as concerned, because they are lacking healing, because, you know, they want to feel valued, they want to feel desired, they want to feel like you are as interested in them as they are in you. If you are holding back for too long, many will give up. Plain and simple. Now, some might stick around to have sex, but they've lost interest to push this further because they don't feel like you are invested in them. And you have to also understand that many have seen situations where the man tried, and only to see that woman go be with someone else. So there is a need for reciprocation. There is a need for mutual effort in order for us to build healthy, happy, successful relationships. So be mindful of that and be honest about if you are putting forth the effort you're looking for him to put in as well. All right. Number 4, the fourth reason why men give minimal effort. I've already mentioned it, but we'll reiterate this point, is that he generally does not know what you want. Okay. So what I'm saying here is this. Sometimes the gap in effort that you're seeing, the lack of it that you feel like he should be doing more, is because he does not have clear guidance and understanding of what that more is. All right. So in some situations, let's say he is calling you, right? And you guys see each other every now and then, but you feel like he needs to be wanting to see you more. Let's just say in this instance, he sees you 1 time a week, but for you, you feel like if he was serious, he'd want to see me 2 to 3 times. But again, to him, it may be, I don't want to try to monopolize her time. Let's just say what's popping in my head right now is, let's say you have a kid. He's trying to be respectful of you, you have your responsibilities. So he doesn't require much, but if he knew you were open to and desired more time, he may be willing to give it. Now, again, there's going to be scenarios where you want more time, you discuss it, and he can't give it to you. He either can't or he's unwilling. Then you have to make a decision. If you are not happy with that, move forward without him. All right? But don't always assume that someone not doing it just means because they don't want to do it. All right? Or they don't care to do it. They just may not know that's what you're looking for. Now, I just gave that small example, but it can be anything. I can't tell you how many times, and I'll highlight the fact that this has happened so much, especially in marriages, okay? Where men have said to me, if she just told me what she needed, I would do it. I just don't know. Like some men are trying different things, but they don't really know what works because they're not seeing a reaction that tells them, oh, this is it. All right. Nothing is conveying to them that you are truly happy. So even if a man buys you flowers, right? And you say, oh, thank you. But there's no excitement, there's no enthusiasm, there's no extra show of appreciation, and you don't express at any time how you love the flowers and love his gesture of giving you the flowers. It's very easy for a man to think, oh, okay, she said thank you just to be nice, but she doesn't really care for flowers. So now he stops, and you're like, look at this punk. This joker stopped giving me the flowers. What's wrong with him? I love the flowers. But he doesn't know that. He didn't stop because he didn't want to get you more flowers. He just thought it didn't really mean nothing to you. And this is hitting my spirit, so I have to say it. Many times, you are not being expressive of how much you like something and enjoy something and how much it means to you and showing the appreciation because you are afraid to be vulnerable in that way. You are afraid to open up and you feel like if I now show him how much I love and appreciate this, like there's this negative thoughts of, well, maybe he'll try to use this against me, use this to manipulate me, or you just don't want to show this appreciation because you got your guard up. Like being open, transparent, affectionate, being very appreciative, all those things point into a willingness to be vulnerable. Okay? And if goes back to not healing, if you haven't fully healed, you will fear being vulnerable. So again, you may not realize that you are not conveying and making clear to him what is important to you, what you actually appreciate and desire, and all you have to do is make it clear and he will be able to step up. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So I know a lot of you feel like dating is just ridiculous nowadays, right? You feel like men are on a bunch of nonsense. You feel like there's too many hoops to jump through. You feel like it's just too much chaos and difficulty. And